We have some bad and good news today for Tesla stock. Here's some good. Texas Commission approved Tesla's charging standard for federal funds. With more and more companies switching to Tesla's charging standard, I'm not even sure why they are still considering this as a good charging standard. Many Tesla stock investors will not like this, but I think it's okay because it's just for the Model S and X, and these are a lot already. In China specifically, Tesla has announced on Weibo, which is basically like Twitter in China, that these two vehicles will be discounted, and the discounts are from 7,700 to 9,600 USD. I think there is some important context here that we need to understand as well. In China now, the Model X, for example, is $115,000, but in the US, you can get that same car for significantly less. And the same goes for the Model S. These are quite similar. So even though there is an import tax, the customer in the end needs to pay that whole price. The volume of these two vehicles also is very small, so I don't really see any issue here. We have some more Cybertruck news, which I really like today. But first, let's go for this. Supposedly, the refresh Model 3 is coming within the next 15 days, is what the local media is reporting over in China. Some stores are quietly accepting Highland reservations already. Now, I'm not sure if that's actually true. I think the inventory of Model 3s have to come down first, unless Tesla really wants to offer deep discounts. And from the previous rumors in terms of how many vehicles Tesla targets to make, it seems that the volume would be significantly behind what Tesla is able to make right now. So it wouldn't make sense to not wait until we sell out the current Model 3 inventory, because if we just announce a new one, we won't have enough of a new one. So why don't you just make more of the new one first and increase the inventory of that? And once the global Model 3 inventory reaches relatively low numbers, then I think it's time to do it, but not yet. This is global Model 3 inventory according to teslainfo.com, and this is specifically Model 3 inventory in Europe, which is already really low, but the global inventory is still not that low. I think the inventory in Europe of the Model 3 shows that the refresh Model 3 is certainly coming relatively soon, but the global inventory would suggest that it's not within the next 15 days. But here's what's interesting. Based on the number of these vehicles that we see, you would think that the Cybertruck is coming out first and not the refresh Model 3, because we see so many more Cybertrucks out there being tested than the refresh Model 3s. Elon was supposed to stream his full self-driving drive yesterday, but he didn't do it. He says he's going to do it next week, which, if you go by Elon's earlier remarks, 2 weeks turned into multiple months, so maybe that's not really happening anytime soon, although hopefully next week actually it is happening, but I'm not so sure. Either way, I will be patiently waiting. I was waiting the whole day yesterday and nothing happened. This is quite something. A GM Cruise vehicle gets stuck in wet concrete while driving in San Francisco. Oh boy. A Tesla supplier, CATL, unveiled LFP batteries that can charge up to roughly 250 miles of range in 10 minutes. And mass production of the batteries is expected to be underway by the end of this year, with shipping to begin in 2024. If this actually works out, then they start producing these batteries in large quantities. It means that you will be able to charge from 20% to 80% in just 10 minutes. This usually takes 20 minutes with a CATL LFP battery. This will likely also mean improved cold weather performance. However, they didn't show us a spotter chart to let us know if there were any drawbacks. Hopefully there are none, but usually there are drawbacks when you have something new like this. Pretty cool, but more of an all-around incremental improvement than a killer new technology. Some people said that perhaps the charging speed will be limited by the station power, but it doesn't seem so, at least for example, a Model 3 rear-wheel drive vehicle that has a battery pack of about 60 kilowatt hours. So probably a 250 kilowatt charger should be just fine, because currently the packs are restricted to 170, and when you charge in the very beginning, when the battery is low, yeah, you do get that speed, but later, it just all goes down. So if you can sustain that peak for a longer time, that will improve the charging speed too. Here's an example of what I mean. This is a Model 3 standard range, rear-wheel drive, from 2022. And you can see it starts at 170 and it only stays there for a very short period of time, and then the charging power goes down by a lot, as you can see right here. Tesla has launched an all-new universal wall connector in North America for about $600. It's the only home charging option that can charge any EV, not just a Tesla, so no more adapters, no hassle, charge any vehicle, Volkswagen or Tesla, or whichever vehicle you choose to charge. And now we need to talk about the Cybertruck. Here's one more, or maybe I should say Cybertrucks, because Joe spotted more. Sawyer has now lost track of how many Cybertrucks he has seen, and here 3 Cybertrucks were spotted on this semi. Here's another sighting, and here we have not 1 truckload of Cybertrucks, but actually 2 truckloads of Cybertrucks. So they are all over the place now, seemingly. These were spotted in Arkansas. And here's some more. These seem to have performed some sort of crash testing, unless there was an accident. But I think this was some sort of a crash test. And someone actually figured out that there was a note right here, completed crash. So, yeah, more Cybertrucks, this time in Arizona. And here's another one from the front with an F-150 wrap. Looks pretty hilarious to me. So what do these Cybertruck sightings mean? What do you think? Well, to me, what it seems like, it's happening. The Cybertruck is coming, and it's coming very soon. The more of this we see, the more Cybertrucks we see, the better it is. Because it just tells us we are closer and closer to actual production. And I found one more picture. Slightly higher resolution, although it's a bit cut off. It looks confusing when you look at it. But despite all of this excitement about the Cybertruck, Tesla stock just keeps falling. So I need to change to the one-day chart so that we can be very short-term focused. It will give us a better picture of what's happening with Tesla stock, right? It's down 3%. Why is it down 3% today? But keep in mind, it is up 100% year to date. And some will say, oh, but if you look at the last 12 months, it is still down. Yeah, but then you look at the 5 last years and it's up 1000% still. So as a long-term Tesla stock investor overall, I am quite happy. Gary Black explains what's going on in his opinion, and it all has to do with worries about the Model Y price cuts in China, which could perhaps be repeated globally, is what the market probably thinks. But Gary says, I view China as idiosyncratic, deflation in every sector, highly competitive EV market, targeted price points that make price cuts unnecessary elsewhere. I don't see China Model Y price cuts spreading elsewhere. And Q3 demand, says Gary, is very strong in China, as we have seen with the latest numbers that came out. I was very happy with these numbers personally. He continues, meanwhile, Cybertruck deliveries will start within weeks. Oh, wow. So Gary is now saying it's going to happen this quarter instead of Q4. Gary's position always was basically Q4 for the last few weeks and months, you could say. I was thinking this quarter before the earnings call, and then after the earnings, it seemed like this quarter is not as likely based on the language that Tesla used in the earnings report. But with this many Cybertrucks all over, I think the chance is increasing every day that we might see first deliveries this quarter. Actually, I don't think it's going to be many, but some, yeah, certainly possible. And Gary thinks this would ignite the entire Tesla franchise, just as happened in 2020, then the Model Y launched, and he continues at 43x. He's talking about earnings. My Wall Street 2024 EPS, Tesla looks cheap versus 37% long-term EPS growth. In other words, Gary says, in the long term, it is a buying opportunity if you are a long-term Tesla stock investor. Here's something that's a bit crazy that both Tesla bulls and bears can agree on. VinFast Auto, a new Vietnamese-based EV startup with a $68 billion market cap at $30 per share, shouldn't be worth more than Rivian, GM, or Ford. VinFast delivered 11,000 EVs in the first half of this year. Rivian delivered 21,000. VinFast has tripled in 3 days of trading. Something doesn't add up, says Gary. Here's a little report from Reuters about it.
Shares in the Vietnamese electric vehicle startup VinFast surged amid thin trading on its Wall Street debut on Tuesday and saw its market value hit more than $85 billion. That number surpassed U.S. automakers Ford at $48 billion and General Motors at $46 billion. VinFast is the auto arm of Vietnam's biggest company, Vingroup, and founded by Vietnam's richest man, Pham Nhat Phong. He has hoped to take on industry leader Tesla in the North American market, with a $4 billion factory being built in North Carolina. Tuesday's listing came after a successful merger with a cash shell company that granted VinFast a listing where it wants to be. And the company says it expects to raise money from global investors in 18 months. However, while the company has shipped nearly 3,000 vehicles to North America since late last year, initial sales have been slow. And S&P Global Mobility says only 137 VinFast electric vehicles have been registered in the United States through June. VinFast's first quarter revenue dropped by almost half from the previous year, posting a net loss of nearly $600 million. But its founder and affiliate group have pumped billions of dollars to bolster it, a June filing revealed. The EV maker said it is moving toward cost reduction in the future.
Well, let's remember that Rivian is down 84% almost from the time it went public. I won't be really surprised if we see something similar happen here as well. And YouTube says you should watch this video next, but if you haven't finished watching this Elon Musk interview, watch this one first. My name is Matt Posius. Like and subscribe if you haven't yet, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching.